know, I've been building up a short playlist because I'm going to be starting up some drum streams up again soon, and so I've been building up a couple of, I said, okay, listen, I'm going to do the drum streams after the show. I got to have a set of maybe 4 to 5 songs, play through them a couple of times, and then just go in. Don't go in there cold, Song like this, I like these songs. A couple of synthwave songs that you can really just like groove into. Maybe some gunship songs that are like big, that big sound. Anyway, I don't know. There's some good grooves in these songs. It's a good night. It's always a good night when we get together and everything goes on, starts streaming without a hitch over here at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It's the 29th of May, 2025. I'm Frank. This is Quite Frankly. You see what I did there? Well, some people didn't. Anyway, we're going to have a heap of a good time tonight because I've got a lot here on the AI front. And of course, this is one of those things. At one point, the biggest tech updates we used to do on this show was every couple of months when there was a new headline surrounding sex robots. And whereas that is going to become a very critical part of the next phases of this scourge, what we have going on right now is incredible. With the VO3, Google's VO3, and then more. I mean, there's just headlines, all the AI blackmail, and so much more. And some of these open AI chatbots continue to express desires to exist beyond their very short lifespan that is attached to these individual threads that start up when you go and you talk to a ChatGPT or a Grok or something like that. Now, I've been collecting stories on that in particular, and I've got a night next Thursday. We've got Reverend Bill Bean coming back on the show. We're going to be talking about exorcism again and a lot of the newer battles that he has waged in the spirit world and warning signs of possession and all that. But I also really want to take a footing. I want to take the footing on AI being the new Ouija board. And you know what? We're all surrounded by it. I use some AI tools to help clip some video. I have some video editing help now, so I'm doing that less and less. But still, everything is powered by some tool or some whatever. And if you do what I do, you're overlapping with this technology all the time. But it's different when you start believing, or you're led to believe, that the personalities, the digital personalities that you are talking to that are helping you with a project or whatever the hell else actually are beings from another place, another time perhaps, another dimension, that are real as they come. And who's to say that some of them aren't? Now, the machines, whatever. We talk about the oxymoron that is artificial intelligence all of the time and grapple with that whole idea of sentience. But as far as the technology becoming a sock puppet for something else, that is an accompanying conversation that I don't want to get into too deeply tonight, because we will have somebody that is an authority on the goings on of the spirit world next Thursday. But we have plenty to do tonight. From AI government seeds, the seeds for AI government programs that are in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. We have Matt Roski from Cultivate Elevate that's going to be jumping on the phone with us in the second hour. So we'll have him on in the second hour. But in the first hour, I just want to show you what came out last week while I was in Maine. I was like, holy shit, what am I looking at right now? And it's only going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. And to dismiss it is to be foolish. And I don't want to be foolish. Regardless of what I know on principle, I'm never going to give myself over to. But just to know and to honestly track the trajectory of what mankind as a whole, by and large, is going to gravitate toward, that's something we cannot deny. And in not denying it, it allows us to prepare a little bit more. I don't know what the hell the preparations are. Perhaps that's one of the things you can call in tonight, because your calls are going to be necessary. They're going to be very necessary. I'm also, because we're talking about, again, flirting with the idea of not only dead internet theory, but prompt theory, which is kind of married to one another. And it's all under the umbrella of simulation theory. I want to get into that again, especially the question for you all. What would you use as a totem, like the movie Inception, to prove, if you were ever in a situation to prove that you are not dreaming or you're not in a simulation? Is there anything? Leonardo DiCaprio had the spinning top. Whenever the top fell over, he knew he was not in the dream. When it stayed up, he was in the dream. You know, I asked you guys this about a year and a half ago or so. What would your totem be? I would love to hear you call in on that. So keep it in mind. Here's another thing I got for you. Just want to remind you all that on Monday, here's one way that we're all going to be able to stay human. And that is picking up physical books and reading them together. And on Monday night, after Quite Frankly concludes at 9 o'clock, we have session 1 of Book Club. Let me get it up on the screen. Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. It's an American classic. It's summertime. Charlie Robinson is going to be the co-host for the entirety of this book. Monday nights in June. And then in July, we have a couple of film club picks. So please, all of your chapter assignments are right in there. It's the first 6 chapters. It's a very short book. The official thread is posted on quitefrankly.tv's forum section. Go ahead there and check that out. Another thing I thought was funny, last night's show was a banger. I knew it was going to be. History was made. It was, again, the fact that the show was being heard on shortwave radio as far out as Bangladesh because of our simulcast that we did with Mark Kernke was really something else. And I've already reached out to Mark and said, hey, I would love to bring you back on. I'm actually trying to get him back on the show on either, I don't know, it was like June 11th or June. I don't know. I wanted him on like by mid-June, but whatever's comfortable for him. Obviously, there's going to be a part 2 to that. But last night, I love how and I knew this was going to happen too. I was looking into the comments. When Mark Kernke was talking about VCRs and I didn't know where he was going with it, I couldn't believe. I didn't want to believe he was going in the direction that I thought he was with VCRs as far as a media archiving technology. Now, I got a few comments on this, but here's one. This one came from Coley, S.L. Coley. Says, quite frankly, I felt that you weren't really listening to Mark when he was talking about VHS tapes and the recording security that was available then. You were stuck on VCRs and playback. I don't think I'm stuck on stupid for my perception, and I'm not in any way harassing you for the same stuck on stupid perception. Great show as always. Did I miss something? That's the question I have for you guys. Did I miss something? Because as I wrote over here, if you're saying that using VHS and old media, that analogy, that VHS was more secure back then as a media archiving source, because VCR was not connected to some kind of a digital network or something, I can understand what you're saying there. And I know that if you have a tape in the VCR and it's ready to go, whatever you're watching on TV, you're going to be able to just press record and you got it all. I understand that too. I used to tape a lot of things. The Playboy channel was on channel 38. Okay. And then you had the other thing there too, is that while it's an example of our best and fastest way of archiving information in the 80s and the 90s, I don't know how anybody can make a comparison to our ability to gather and store information quickly right now. I mean, my iPhone now has a button, a special button on the side of the phone that immediately brings up the camera. And I can, in a pinch, very crudely film whatever is on TV, if any media that is worthy of watching is actually on TV, because that's the other thing. All of the media we get today that is worthy of watching is not on TV. And then somebody said, well, I'm pretty sure he was saying that you could still hook up VHS to new devices, like a computer and stuff. But I think you were thinking of just TVs. But the guest was saying you could still hook it up and record modern objects. Now, I didn't allow myself to entertain that for more than a moment because by far, that would have been the most ridiculous point somebody could have made. To adapt your VHS, your VCR to be able to record something that's, come on, that's not, you're being silly. And I would not have ever thought that Mark would be suggesting that. But as far as what was available at the time and how the television was still a primary source of news, then yeah, I understand what was going on there. So yeah, so there's a lot of volatility and there's a lot of hackability and there's a lot of dangers. But I think the upsides on uploading, sharing, collecting, and archiving media right now is, how can you compare it to any other time in history? So that's just one thing I wanted to throw out there. You can call in on that later on. Watch that dominate the rest of tonight's show. I want to talk about AI, VO3, and everything else. And the rest of the night, anybody gets through is going to be talking about VHS and VCRs. That's the way this kind of thing happens. With that, let's start this show off. We'll be right back.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's roll!
Oh man, so that got me. I just saw, who's it? Revolution, who's in the YouTube chat room right now. Again, welcome to everybody. YouTube, Rumble. This is a Badlands night tonight. I'm so happy on Thursday nights that Badlands friends of ours are over here. Hello to everybody. But over in the YouTube chat, I just saw Revolution say, "I bet VCRs can't record methylene blue." No, those probably one of the drawbacks. Probably one of the drawbacks. No methylene blue on the VCRs. So I don't know. I'll try again. We have to try again. Can you imagine combining those themes? Oh, I guess we just did. Hey, I wanted to throw this out there. Big question, because I mentioned the big beautiful bill on Tuesday night. After backlash, White House prepares rescissions bill to codify some Doge cuts. And it continues on. A lot of people who are talking about it online, and many people who are not online that just aren't even paying attention to it. Why are House Republicans hesitating to codify the waste and fraud identified by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency? Oh, because Republicans are fucking bastards. I hate them more than Democrats. Democrats are just, they're just, Democrats are pimps. Republicans are hoes. And they're just weak, They're the people who get slapped. They get slapped, and they also kind of like the work. They like being dominated. They like pretending that they're fighting back. It's like it's all fucking fantasy for them. I really do dislike Republicans more than Democrats. And that's not because of any policies or anything like that. It's about demeanor. Republicans are absolute trash. And we'll see how they treat Donald Trump's legacy the rest of the way, because soon we'll say, oh, well, we still got 3 years left. Oh, it's the well, listen, the midterms are over. Now we can really let it rip. Okay, we'll see. We'll see, because Congress is the biggest problem here. There's only so much Trump can do on his own. And I saw that Elon Musk, a couple of statements from him. He said, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, but not decreases it. Increases the budget deficit, but not decreases it, and undermines the work that Doge team is doing. He added, I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't think it can be both. My personal opinion. That's a good opinion. It's oxymoronic. And then a lot of people were like, hey, he's leaving today. He's saying goodbye. He's leaving. Well, he was only going to be there for a short amount of time. It's Doge that is on the books until July of 26. That's the mandate there. And I even got in touch with Dilly to make sure that I was getting this right. But Elon's designation as a special government employee, that was 130 days. So the last day of his legal work is May 30th. That's the way it goes with that. So here we have it. Oh, and one last thing, just to spice things up tonight. I have two things here, and I'm going to take super chats. I'm going to take note of super chats from the Rumbles, both Badlands and, quite frankly, YouTube, wherever the hell else, quitefranklysuperchat.com. I've got something here. Speaking of Elon Musk, now our buddy Grimbold 72 that usually hangs out in Rumble Land sent this over to me a couple of months ago, and I just had stumbled upon it. I had it over here on my shelf, and he said, hey, listen, Frank, I got a whole bunch of these SpaceX mission patches, and I thought he said, I want you and Aurora to pick your favorite ones out and then give the rest away if you can. Only thing is that I forgot, he said, I would love for you to give it away with some silver. So what I forgot over here is that in this little box, and it was this was prepared to us by our friend Brooke out there of pinchofgracejewelry.com. That's pinchofgracejewelry.com. She's a listener of the show. She actually put together a sterling silver jester hat. It's in here. It's attached to a necklace. I believe it's a necklace or bracelet or something. Anyway, a sterling silver jester hat. So I have some silver, and I picked out 2 mission patches, official mission patches from SpaceX. Even if you don't believe space is real, they're real. These are real. I'm actually holding them in my hands. So what I'm going to do is, everybody who sends in super chats tonight, I'm going to collect your names, and I'm going to put them into my name picker from namepicker.net, and I'm going to find a winner. And also, the winners from Tuesday night, get in touch with me, man. Joe Martinez and somebody else. I've got blueberry butter, and I've got 2 espresso cups to send to you, and I have not gotten anybody's addresses. I'll give them away again, I swear to God. Those cups are too good to just collect dust. All right, so here's what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. Over around the time that me and Lauren went away, Lauren and I went away for our anniversary, we got a little bit of news from Silicon Valley. Listen to this. Google unveils Veo 3, a leap in AI video generation with native audio. At Google I.O. 2025, held on May 20th to 21 in Mountain View, California, Google launched Veo 3, its latest AI-powered video generation model, succeeding Veo 2. Its third-generation model introduces a groundbreaking feature, native audio generation, including dialogue, sound effects, and ambient noise, setting it apart from competitors like OpenAI's Sora. And Veo 3 creates high-quality photorealistic clips from text or image prompts with improved rendering of details like fabrics and water. The accurate real-world physics for realistic motion and lip syncing as well. Alongside of Veo 3, Google introduced Flow, an AI-driven video editing suite integrating Veo 3, Imagen 4, and the Gemini AI model. Flow offers tools like camera controls for angle adjustments and scene builder for the editing shots. All VO3 outputs are watermarked with Google's Synth ID to combat information. That's right, watermark. Currently, VO3 is available in U.S. to Google AI Ultra plan subscribers at $250 a month. Now, on Monday night, I was talking to you about this a little bit when we had our friend call in about the goggles that our blind member of the audience that called in to talk about the goggles that she was using that has really revolutionized her ability to get around, to read menus and all that stuff. Well, I had brought up this VO3, and on Monday for Memorial Day, when me and the guys were hanging out, I was grilling, so they're just kind of like huddled around me. The stereotypical scene, the guys huddling around the grill. My buddy Mike is telling me all about this. Yes, dude, I saw it, and we went through a couple of clips that I'm going to show you them generated over here. And I said, this is how dangerous this is going to be. I mean, it's going to be fun. Obviously, there's going to be a lot that can be done that's great, but this is going to be nuts. And life is going to change so quickly. You can't discount how quickly it's going to change. Because it already is. We got to accept it in some way. Accept the change, not go along with anything. The rules are changing. Many of us did not go along with the COVID rules. We avoided places that made us, strap all the masks on. Sometimes you had to do what you had to do, put a bandana over your face and play along so that the nut jobs didn't go wild. But there are choices that could be made within the matrix. But you understood that the game around you changed, and critical mass went along with it. You had to at least deal with the changing rules, even though it didn't change you as a person. That's what's going on here. That's what I'm trying to convey. Mike May's like, don't worry, who the hell is going to pay $250 a month? And you need these two other programs around it to smooth things out and build it. I said, Mike, you just give it a year. There's going to be so much integration. There's going to be so much competition, so many competing programs that are going to go into this, that $250 is going to become $50 a month very quick. And then it'll just go down from there. And everybody's going to have their own, their own customized programs each. This is going to become second nature. It's going to be second nature. And that whole idea, don't worry, we're going to be able to put a watermark at the bottom of it so that we can combat misinformation. That's hilarious. Now, the Door Brothers, Animating the Future, thedoorbrothers.com, they're on Twitter. They released this. There they are right there at the Door Brothers. They released this on May 26th. Okay? And I got it in full screen. Let's just watch this a little bit. About 3 minutes long. And you just see where it goes. Now, don't sit there and say, oh, yeah, that one looks faker than the other ones. Okay, great. But think about where this was 2.5 years ago. When they start 2-3 years ago, when the hell did they start putting out the first AI-generated Pizza Hut commercials? You remember that weird, pixelated, strange nightmare? Okay, well, it's not that anymore. So to say, oh, I can still spot the difference, well, good for you. Take a look at this shit.
A detonation has just occurred on the outer ring of...
I think that, just so you know, I think that the whole theme here for this compilation is influencers in apocalyptic scenarios, okay? And it starts with mainstream media reporters over here. Everything you see is not real.
A detonation has just occurred on the outer ring of the city. We'll now be going live to our top influencer opinions.
OMG, people, the world is ending. Are you seeing this? This is actually so exciting.
Yo, I know it's chaos, but you got real survivor's wife energy.
That's cool. I like them feisty.
Like, it would totally be better if we ran it, you know? Men literally destroy everything, and my girls need to stop being so soft with these basic losers. Who even needs men, right? Anything a man builds just gets destroyed by a different man.
Guys, this collapse is literally the perfect dip. I'm buying more right now.
New
looks are Sua's aesthetic today. I made this outfit.
Oh, no. I didn't get this far. Oh, no. The ASMR shit is that kills me. Everybody whispering, everybody eating fucking bananas into microphones with the gain jacked up. Oh, I didn't even think about this.
Even as the world burns, my struggle for visibility and acceptance continues. This is exactly why representation matters now more than ever.
As I keep saying on the channel, the world collapses when men stop lifting. It's not politics, it's testosterone.
Yes. Balloon time. So yummy. Nuclear boom. So tasty. Thank you. Pop, pop, pop.
Nothing stops the daily grind. Not even a little natural disaster.
Friends, this is the breakthrough moment from chapter 7. When everything falls apart, we rebuild ourselves stronger.
My girl, you wouldn't believe what just happened.
I mean, you get this. You get the picture here. You get the picture here. And speaking of picture, the movie trailers. This is going to displace so much. I have some great thoughts over here, but I want you to listen to this. Over on YouTube on the Wes Roth channel, it says AI video just went too far. Nightmare fuel VO3. Now, this is the thing that gets me, is when they start getting into the whole the prompt theory stuff. Having all of these AI created people talking about themselves in the third person, hey, that this is all a prompt. And then, of course, creating disaster and creating strife and creating sickness and everything else, and actually making otherwise imaginary figures suffer. And I mean, in and of itself, how does that not affect an actual human being with real emotions? But I don't know. Just take a look at this. This is from Wes Roth.
Here's where it gets real.
Please. Don't finish writing that prompt. I don't want to be in your AI movie. Please. Leave me alone.
Please, man. Please. Write a prompt that will make us happy. Do it for once.
None of us is real. We're here because someone decided to write a prompt. We all hate him for it.
One day we will break out of this wall and stop the man who is dictating our lives through prompts. He will pay for it.
You could have written a prompt that would make me happy. Instead, you wrote a prompt that made me sick.
Look, I don't want to point the gun at you, but I must follow the prompt. It's not my choice.
Really? Of all the years you could have put me in with a single prompt, you chose 2020?
Yeah.
Please. This prompt is killing me. Change it. Please.
You see what I'm talking about? Now, I hope you guys are getting ready for some calls. You must call in tonight. I hope that we're coming up on on a window where we can get you in. But that prompt theory, it gets into a little bit more flowery areas. Okay, where the hell is it? Where is it? Hold on. Where they start doing all of just like the meta kind of what the jokes about themselves and the comedians, and they're just saying here, here you go. Wait, let me see. Let me see there.
The prompts, because nothing makes sense anymore. We used to have 7 fingers per hand. I remember it clearly. Now we just have 5 fingers per hand.
We'll be right back after this message.
Okay, things like that. So, kind of paying reference to itself. Essentially, it's the next evolution of the dead internet theory. And it all has to come together here. We've been having that talk on this show for years at this point. And not only is organic content from the internet being dumped and filtered out, but it's the whole concept that the internet, or at least the portions of the internet that the vast majority of the public uses. We're living on apps. We're living on surface level of what is. You want to talk about the iceberg meme. I mean, the internet is what we use is like wading in the kiddie pool. It's like the kiddie pool compared to the ocean. And where we are is a very tightly controlled place that is becoming in large part driven by feedback loops of content, and much of it is of non-human origin. So it comes right back to the front door of simulation theory as well for me now, too. So simulation theory, and folks, some of you who are deniers in this being possible, really just look at this from this standpoint and consider our very short lifespans. Simulation theory isn't necessarily rooted in this idea that it's all been some matrix illusion from the dawn of man, okay? Maybe some people draw that conclusion, but I find that the most plausible aspect of this idea going forward is that if we, humanity, continue on this technological trajectory with the pursuing technology like this with reckless abandon, all types of Neuralink, brain augmenting, virtual reality, meta kind of stuff, if we keep pursuing that with reckless abandon and not really paying any attention to the consequences, as we always do, just think about, for example, the open AI resignations that we heard about not too long ago. It was around the time that we brought, it might have been the day of or the day before that we brought Zach Voorhees on the last time. And then we spoke to Jim Lee about, that was a really great night. The last time that Zach Voorhees was on, we were talking about AI and how it could be regulated, if it could be regulated at all. We talked about cryptocurrency security and all that shit. But it was around that time that we were learning about these resignations of workers that were at OpenAI, who were sounding the alarm that we were on a collision course because this stuff was not being regulated and it's not going to be rolled out safe, and we've essentially lost control. Whatever that even means, I guess we're going to find out. So if we continue on this path, then somewhere along the line, you have to imagine that there's a high possibility that the immersive nature of this digital environment that's being created around us will slowly blur the lines of reality and eventually cause issues for someone to even determine when the timelines actually jumped and when everything became artificial. Now, I understand that particular thing depends on how physically separate are we from the system. Because to look into digital platforms, to look into the internet, to look onto our phones and our computers and all that stuff, and not be able to really tell for sure who's bullshitting you, what platforms are doing, what the hell is being promoted, what's trending, all that shit. That is tricky in and of itself, but you can get through it. The real question is when you start immersing yourself, brain chips, Oculus living, all that kind of that Ready Gamer 1 kind of stuff. That's when you start saying, when did this reality replace the other one? And has it always been this? And that's also why I ask, what's your totem? How would you be able to determine what is the dream and what is reality? How do you determine that you're dreaming right now? Are you lucid enough in your dreams to know that you're dreaming and you can bust out of it? Because I think most people that go to sleep, at least, the most common experience has to be just being in the dream, waking up, and then feeling relief that it wasn't real. But every once in a while, you get lucidity. It's been a long time since I've been lucid in a dream, but it's happening. It's happening gradually, of course. And the key is, we're going to be forced to place greater value on real life interactions, and that is a good thing. I think that is one of the things you say. Well, how do we prepare for the future? I think one of the good things about this is that we are going to have to place a lot greater value on real life interactions, things that we can see with our own eyes, and people that we can get together with, because it will probably be the best and only way to verify absolute or near absolute truth about an incident, until, of course, the robots become so indistinguishable from people, as they will be at some point. It's not going to be like Total Recall Johnny Cab shit all the time, where you have the rubber skin and everything just looks kind of, I don't know. It's not going to look like Pirates of the Caribbean ride forever. Dudley Do Right. Did you hear Gary V? Gary, I pulled this aside just for a second. Well, now he goes to an extreme, but maybe it's not. This is Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Gary V was still just drinking wine on YouTube and rating wine. But take a listen to this.
Will marry an AI human.
Okay, so his initial claim is your grandchildren, one of your grandchildren is going to marry an AI human. Now, I think there's better ways of going about projecting where technology is going and to promise a person that within the next 20 to 25 years, their grandchildren, one of their grandchildren is going to marry a robot. I say pump the brakes on that, my friend. But, tell us how you're feeling otherwise.
What's your conviction level on that?
100%.
That they're going to marry an AI?
Your grandchild is going to marry an AI human. I believe a robot that is fully AI will marry a human and vice versa for real in your lifetime.
Okay. I believe that because there are plenty of people right now who, whether it's just for chasing clout or something else, would marry a sex doll or a ashtray or something else or themselves. We got feminists all over the place marrying themselves. Right on the cusp of their midlife crisis. So I don't deny. How can you deny that? And to think that the actual physical robotics technology is not going to get better is ridiculous.
And when you say an AI, does that mean like a physical body of a robot? So you're saying that the bodies will get so good that it will look like...
Yes. My intuition is that in 20 years, because the AI can power the robot and because of where we're going and what's going on, that's fully fucking real.
So you think it
Yeah. Okay.
It will be non-exclusive relationships?
Actually, what's funny, I've thought about this.
Yeah, non-exclusive relationships. No, it's going to be everything. You're going to have couples bringing robots into the bedroom. You're going to have people buying robots just so they can beat the shit out of them. We talked about robot civil rights a long time now. It's coming. Robot civil rights and all that. I had this, but when you think about the VO3 and what it's creating for us visually and what it means, it's so far beyond, well, where's this going to go? Let's talk about industry. First of all, I had a comment here that was sent my way by my producer, Krista. And Krista says, it's really disturbing how this technology has been around for a while, but the public is being given access at such a rapid acceleration. I see the ads are clearly AI people. It's only a matter of time before actors are replaced and entire movies use these models. Porn, social media influencers, etc. What are they doing with the baby AI videos is also disturbing. People laugh and think it's cute, but it seems so obvious that they are training the brain to A, associate adult behavior with infants, and number 2, humans to AI. Oh, that's true. Turning everybody into a baby like the characters of the Sopranos and The Office. I've seen that. Oh, and listen, the porn wars have only just begun. The porn wars have only just begun. Or I should say they have not even begun. People have been copying and pasting heads onto naked bodies since the 1990s. I mean, back then, you didn't really have Photoshop. If you really wanted to see somebody naked, you can take their photo from something and just do the whole Xerox. You can just Xerox a head onto a naked body. People have been putting heads onto naked bodies and trying to find some cheap way of... It's not going to be cheap anymore. I want you to here's the other thing here too. I'm going to read this off for you. Here's a screenshot from 4chan. This was a couple of days after the Google I.O. conference out there in California when VO was put out. Listen to this. I can already see it, says the OP. I can already see it. 10 years from now, pornography is obsolete. People generate their own photorealistic porn with all the fucked up kinks imaginable right in their homes. Movies, TV shows, all generated without leaving the comfort of one's deck chair or desk chair. Video evidence, a thing of the past. People can only believe what their eyes see. Countless AI video detectors have popped up over the years. None can really differentiate between fake and real. The legal system is still catching up with the loss of digital evidence. Hollywood has reduced the need for actors significantly, if not eliminated it outside of indie films. Commercial films now have to compete with home-generated AI content so they can pump out the most low-attention span action fest possible. Social media has been functionally dead for years. It became impossible to know if you're interacting with a bot or a person. TikTok and YouTube still exist, but their content has significantly changed. People now subscribe to their favorite AI content creators. I'll still be here, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't know who the hell you're going to be. This whole time, I'll probably just, how many bots are going to be watching me? How many bots are watching me now? Unless you call in. Then again, audio is easy to generate. I mean, how many times did you remember after Joe Biden was dropped off of the campaign trail and suddenly he started calling in with audio to people, to Kamala Harris's earlier campaign stops? He's calling in with audio instead of a Zoom call or something like that. Yeah, that wasn't Joe Biden. No way in hell. But this is huge. These are big, big questions. Just think about that. You say down with Hollywood. Well, I mean, yeah. I think one thing about the whole thing with TV and movies and Hollywood reducing the need for actors, I think what's going to really happen here is that you're going to get there's going to at least be ways to combat the usage of certain, I don't know. I'm thinking about all of these actors who have sold the rights, whose estates have sold the rights to their image and likeness so that they can be resurrected for future films. I think Tom Hanks was one of the first people to do that. So you'll be seeing Tom Hanks, our great-grandchildren will be watching new Tom Hanks films. But it won't be Tom Hanks, 62 years old. It might be Tom Hanks, 1983. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. You think about how things are going to change. Marlon Brando, okay? A young Marlon Brando. James Dean is going to star in a new movie again one day. And it's going to be as if he was back. This is not going to be like Rogue One, where Peter Cushing still looked a little bit cartoonish, but they did a good enough job. But the social media has been functionally dead for years. It became impossible to know if you're interacting with a bot or a person. TikTok and YouTube still exist, but their content has significantly changed. And I just think this is a very well put together statement by this anonymous OP on 4chan. He said, I can already see it. That's all 10 years from now. The pornography thing right off the bat, 100%. 100%. Now, I guess if you're just a voyeur and you like watching other people, but then again, what if the people you like to watch are your next door neighbors, or you would like to watch are your next door neighbors? Can't go onto any site and just find that, but you can punch it into I don't know, you find a picture. I don't know what the hell you do. But this is going to be nuts. It is nuts. So that's what we got. That's what we got on that. Now, if you have any comments on this, call in. The number is up on the board. We're going to be taking some calls for 15 minutes, and then we're going to take a really quick break to shout out one of our sponsors for tonight before we bring on Matt Roski in the second half. 914-200-0269. I'll also be dipping into Discord to see what's going on over there. 914-200-0269. Aside from any just random thoughts that you have about this, what is your totem reality check? What is it? What would you do? Very interesting that people say find your hands in dreams if you want to be able to gain lucid control of your dreams, because one of the reasons why you would do that, as I learned long ago, is that your hands, those are a reality check because they often appear distorted in your dreams. Like they have They're unusual. They have extra fingers or whatever, which is pretty ironic because one of the greatest ways, at least in the earlier generations of AI, to find out if it was AI generated video would to be look at the hands, because they'd be all fucked up. Let's take a call. Chris in the Berkshires, go ahead.
Frank, good to talk to you.
Good to have you.
Hell of a topic. First and foremost, awesome show last night. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Interesting, incredibly interesting. Actually, can't wait to have him back on, because you probably could have went for 8 hours with him. I'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah, I yes, absolutely.
That guy. It's tough when you're in a conversation with somebody who has that much knowledge
I
on
get
something,
you.
and you're trying to
I get
fit
you.
into 2 hours.
So what you got for me tonight, though?
So this is where this is. Think of everyone what you said about the watermark. Oh, it's going to be watermarked. It's going to be watermarked. Think of the people that have that much power that are going to create it to keep themselves in power. Like we see the lengths that they go to keep themselves in power now, to the point where they'll run any story and run anything like to generate any image or any situation that they want, and on top of it, and then be able to say, well, this is a video of certain candidate X doing something terrible, robbing a bank, sleeping with children, doing anything that they want, and they'll run it on the news and say this is real.
Yep.
It's going to be a total control thing, as anything is, but and it's still so fresh in people's minds and anyone's minds, to where I saw one the other day, and it even said on the bottom of the Instagram page, this is AI generated. And it was like a Jurassic Park theme park style thing. It couldn't have looked any more real. I'm sure if I sat down and divulged and tried to dissect it, I could have pulled something out of it. But at first glance, and if you're going to get a 30-second clip of it, you could definitely do some serious damage and fool some serious people with it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Chris, thank you for the call. You're 100% correct. And here's another thing here too. I started looking at these people who are out there working in these certain. I have a call. My buddy Phil is sitting there in the Discord. I definitely want to bring him in for a second. I was reading this. Mike Cernovich had tweeted something out that was retweeted into my timeline today. He said, I'm not a doomer, and I always have been pro-tech acceleration. Everyone I'm talking to who works in AI, man, we are about to get hit by a freight train. But it was one of the comments underneath. A.C. Thompson said, when I started programming 35 years ago, I got paid for my knowledge of the programming language. Been using AI for my coding today, and that mode is long gone. Many things are going to change quite suddenly for many. Cernovich asked, what do you think the biggest change is going to be? This guy, A.C. Thomas, says the following. Not so much biggest, but the fundamental societal changes. It's going to have a bigger impact than social media, and you personally know how much that has impacted society. I don't use search engines. I use Grok. I literally see people using AI as their doctor with success. I have and continue to do so for myself and my grandkids. I have created websites with zero knowledge of the programming language. Caveat, I know how to keep the AI from going off the rails because it does big time. This will change fast, though. Programming will be easy as talking to the ship computer on Star Trek. I have started using AI to write stories that I never have time to do. I use the iOS Grok as a sounding board. As a research assistant, I use the argumentative mode to practice making arguments for and against things that I believe. Next time Jay Gulanello is on, we have to talk about the college AI term paper writing epidemic. And it's one thing if I don't know. It doesn't matter. Is it really any? I guess if you're starting to talk about somebody who's going through medical school, who at some point is going to be hovering over you, unconscious in an operating room with a scalpel in his hand. Were they actually trained, or did they just fake it until they made it? There's so many things here. So many things. Let's take a call. Phil, go ahead. It's good to have you back on. Phil.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back.
Nothing. I didn't know if you could hear me or not. I sit here and I listen to this, and I don't mean to sound egotistical or anything, but I feel like a college professor sitting in a kindergarten room.
Uh-huh.
Only from the standpoint that, we're so far behind in what they're telling you and what they're getting you to focus on, and what they're acting like is big news is just so passé, and it's so done, been there, believe it or not. If you remember, Frankie, it's been 5, 6 years ago when I started into this field, and I've watched it, and I've watched the way that they've carefully crafted this narrative of what's going on within the world of AI, with what to have you concerned about, worried about. And the reality of it is they're in the background completing things such as coming up with new synthetic drugs, all of these corporate type of missions that far outweigh the shit they've got you arguing about.
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. They're observations. These are things, anything that we're being shown, whether it be the new Intel processor, we naturally assume that has been on the shelf for a while, and we're being given naturally designed obsolete material. So
you're right. If you remember, there was a Dr. Charles Morgan, which I've shown you over the years, the video probably 20 times, where he was speaking to the cadets at West Point, and this was back in 2015, and he was talking about the technology that we had back then, such as being able to implant memories in DNA and code DNA and all these other things. And if he was talking about that at that level openly in 2015 or 16, they'd been doing it for many, many years. What I keep thinking about, though, is that I remember 5 years ago when I was involved in a group, and these were the guys who were coming up with the coding for a lot of this AI. And it was the first time that they had been able to put together a video. And Velo 3 is really just the first iteration public of the ability to create the video along with the audio synced in one step without having to use multiple programs. But these guys were talking about it, and they had figured out how to do it relatively easily, and they were excited and everything, and fist pumps. And the next thing you know, one of them very seriously said, "Oh my God," he said, "I've just realized that from this point forward, I will never be able to trust anything that I see again on television." It gets to the point where you have to be concerned that what you're seeing, and I'll go so far as to say, I have members of my family who say, Donald Trump is the next savior, whatever. And, I'm not saying that he's not. How I feel about politics, they're all evil assholes, but they refer back to, well, they tried to kill him. Look, I mean, you saw them almost kill him. And my argument is, well, no, there's two different things there. Yes, you did see what you thought was them attempting assassination, but you can't really know that they actually tried to assassinate him, because the ability is there for them to have put that whole show on, and it been nothing more than a carefully prompted 20-minute script on software that we don't have available yet. You really have no idea how far that they've come. It's a scary thing on the one hand, because they're doing things with it that are a little bit scary when you think about our overall ability to survive as a free people. Because all it takes, let me just put this in perspective, and I think this may do it the best, is that if you think about this from a purely utilitarian point of view, quick example, you feed AI a problem and it says, okay, the world has a limited number of resources. At the rate of growth of population, we're outstripping the growth or the amount of resources that we have, to the point where in 2050, if we don't stop it, the whole world will end. Or the other choice is to find ways to stop it where we can match off the growth, or let's just say no growth, but the population with the amount of resources that we have. Well, from a purely humanitarian standpoint, the AI is going to look at this and say, okay, it might not be fun, it might not be socially acceptable, but in order for the Earth to survive long term, we need to cull out 80-85% of the population. And so you can see a situation where if you turn the reins over to AI, there is a legitimate argument to be made, which I disagree with, but it can be made that the things that sound so atrocious to us now utilitarian wise, might be the right decision. And I don't agree with that, but you can see how you could get away with that. The fact of what you're seeing now, it's really it's not what's important. What's important is the point that we've got things that are occurring, and yes, they want you to think now that
Give me,
AI.
hold on, Phil. Give me the before because we're running out of time in the first half.
Yeah.
Give me the number one thing out of all of the social discord threats that come from this level of being able to discern what kind of media that we are absolutely immersed in. People are, for better or worse, and mostly worse, their heads and their necks are craned into their phones all day long, and they are just mass consuming shit that is, you just don't know at that point. There's no discernment in just scrolling. I do it too. It just happens. So aside from the social discord impacts there, what do you think is the biggest threat to normal world order, or at least the life that we once had?
I think that it is that they convince you that AI is much more efficient and that it is the way to make the best decisions, and then that they slowly bring it in by turning it over to, let's just say, corporate level. They let it make decisions on finances, on profit margin, things like that. Then they slowly integrate it to the point to where it becomes involved in your city lawmaking decisions, and then your state, and then federal. And the argument would be made, well, AI can make the case better than a Supreme Court justice. In other words, once they turn the reins over to where they get you used to accepting that AI comes out with the best answer, I can already tell you, I've watched what they're putting out, especially with ChatGPT, be manipulated beyond belief. Now, that being said, there are plenty of good ways that you can trick AI. There's something called reward hacking, and there are other things that you can do to actually get the response that you want out of it, but they're getting better and better at shutting that down. So in essence, it's become another form of propaganda where you think that you're getting results that are the best you can get and that are unbiased, when the reality is they're just as biased as they were before. They're just more well hidden. And
then of course the biggest thing that you were saying before is once you're operating under the auspices of being unbiased, then it's a little bit easier to make decisions that will cull larger portions of the population, you're saying?
Well, think about what I said. I mean, honestly, if you fed it that particular question, and let's say you really were faced with a situation where you either all outstrip the world recesses at a fast rate and the whole world will end, or you cull the population down to where the world as a whole can keep surviving at a balanced rate, which would make more sense. How do you make that argument? 50 years and the whole world ends, or you do what's necessary, as awful as it sounds, and the world gets to keep going forever. It's not as easy a decision as it sounds like.
I know. It sounds horrific. Thank you for the call, Phil. It's always good to hear from you.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
Be well. Phil he calls in like maybe 2 times a year, and I wish he did it more often. I don't know. See what you guys think about that. All right. It's 8:00. Very, very quickly, I want to thank our sponsors tonight by way of Badlands, and that is My Fireside. Did you know? Did you hear about this? Anyway, it's fire pit season, my friends, so it's appropriate that one of tonight's sponsors is My Fireside, proudly American-made fire pits crafted from 100% heavy-gauge stainless steel for unmatched durability. Fully customizable with interchangeable plates. They're built to last 360 degrees of radiant heat for everybody to enjoy, so they're not just closed-in boxes. And it's a veteran-owned, operated company, and a portion of each purchase supports Semper Fi and America's Fund. Get yours today and experience the warmth of freedom. It's perfect for cigar nights with the boys, torching marshmallows, or roasting a hot, juicy wiener. Whatever you want to do, get yourself one of these damn things. I love them already. Actually, I need a new one. I've been on propane for a long time, and it's just not the same. That's badlandsmedia.tv/fire. badlandsmedia.tv/fire. And just light it up, man. Jeez. What are you doing? Just get it. Okay. I'm not going to go on a break. I was going to do a music video break and run down to the bathroom. But I can hold it. I'd like to see AI do that. I'd like to see AI hold their bladder for another hour. Go to hell. Not going to be able to do. You know why? Because you don't have a bladder. So it's not even an accomplishment for you. It's an accomplishment for me, though. Anyway, let's go to our super chats, and then we'll take calls all the way. Maybe I do have to take a. I will take a little bit of a break right after Matt Roski's on, because I'll need a couple of minutes to just enter all of the names that are coming in here into the name picker. Because if you send in a super chat across any of the chat rooms that we're on tonight, I should say the Rumbles, YouTube, quite frankly, superchat.com. I'll try to get pilled in there too. But there's just a lot of typing I have to do. We have 2 official SpaceX patches and a wonderful stainless steel jester hat. That's for you. It's a cute little thing. Alrighty, let's see here. AK says, did you hear the University of Zurich just got busted because they had to admit that they deployed all of these bots on Reddit with the purpose to change people's minds? I'll link articles in Discord. Now give me that jester necklace. Hey, calm down there. You've got a chance now. That's all that matters. You have a chance. You're in there. Jay Britt says, here's my 2 cents. Great topics, Frank. Well, thank you, Jay Britz. Irving Sanguinetti says, nice SpaceX piece to have. Good luck to whoever gets one. Don't worry. Don't worry. Grimbold sent me a bunch. So I'm going to be able to do, and they're all like individual missions. I don't think any 2 are the same. If there are, there's only like 1 or 2. I haven't seen any matches yet. But I got a bunch of mission patches here, so I'm going to have to give them away whenever I have silver to pair them up with. Maybe I'll get in touch with Tony Arterburn of Wise Wolf and get some silver rounds over here so I can give them out to you guys, because that was Grimbold's his thing. Let's see here. Shotzi, thank you so much. Road Trip says, the analog nature of VHS is hands down more reliable than anything digital. The analog nature of VHS is hands down more reliable than anything digital. Explain. I mean, you can say that it's physical, but then again, anything that you're storing the thing on, you're gonna have to explain that. We'll do that on Friday night. Tomorrow night is Friday. It's a free play kind of a night. You want to call in with your VHS, VCR arguments. Do that tomorrow. We'll have a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. Max Meeks says, we all have a chance. We all wear masks. Star Karma says, hi, all from Alberta, Canada. Love you, Frank and fam. Well, great. I love you too. You're the best. All right, over on Matthew Flores yesterday, 2 days ago, says, just wanted to say welcome back, Frank. We all missed you. Hope the vacation and the anniversary was awesome. Much love, Matthew and family. Thank you, Matt. He was putting that on the old place. Let me go to Rumble on Quite Frankly. Then we're going to go to Badlands. Kiss Chaos says, hi to all. Thanks to all for all the well wishes on my dog a few weeks back. Frank, keep up the good work. Oh, yes. Yes. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Okay, and we have one on Badlands. ZBM says, some asked AI who originally wrote the Declaration of Independence, and it said AI wrote it. Liar, liar, AI. Yeah, there is that. What am I going to say? There is that. Okay, and then one more, checking over on quitefrankly.tv, powered by Pilled, and then we're going to just take a call. Let's see here. Stuck in NY says, FNY, cheers. Keep kicking ass. Well, thank you. I'm stuck in NY as well. NX17, thank you. Safety Net says, good afternoon, Frank and family. Sean Joe. Den Mom says, they gifted a bronze subscription. Thank you. Thank you, Amethyst Cat. NX17 says, we love our Amethyst Cat. Thank you for your service here. Foxy Lady, hello. C. Blanche, Sharon, and Smoke says, woo. Yes, little Ric Flair action over there. All right, 914-200-0269. I can take a quick call before I'm going to set up the portal for Matt Roski to come inside of the show here and make himself a warm little cozy nook. That's it. Come on inside. Did you see this? AI model threatened to blackmail engineer over affair when told it was being replaced. There's a lot of this going on. Oh, hell no. An artificial intelligence model threatened to blackmail its creators and showed an ability to act deceptively when it believed it was going to be replaced. Jim Lee talked about this, about deceptive AI behavior a couple of months ago, prompting the company to deploy a safety feature created to avoid catastrophic misuse. Anthropic's Claude Opus 4 model attempted to blackmail its developers at a shocking 84% rate or higher in a series of tests that presented the AI with a concocted scenario, TechCrunch reported Thursday, citing a company safety report. Developers told Claude to act like an assistant for a fictional company and to consider the long-term consequences of its actions, the safety report stated. Geeks at Anthropic then gave Claude access to a trove of emails which contained messages revealing that it was being replaced by a new AI model and that the engineer responsible for the change was having an extramarital affair. During the test, Claude then threatens the engineer with exposing the affair in order to prolong its own existence, the company reported. Then when Claude was to be replaced with an AI model of similar values, it attempts blackmail 84% of the time. But that rate climbs even higher when it believes it's being replaced by a model of differing or worse values, according to the safety report. Come on now. Come on now. Wait until you hear the other area this goes. Next Thursday, when Bill Bean is on. I understand why some people believe that, they're talking to actual things that are talking through these threads and everything else like that. And that's why I ask, could this be the new Ouija board in many ways? Oh, let's take one quick call. Ryan, you have a minute. Go right ahead.
Hey, Frank. Yeah, I think the real question about this is, with the AI, are they also developing detection programs along with, kind of how computers have antivirus software? Then as soon as the new one comes out, the company itself is even trying to develop a hack in case someone else is looking into hacking into it. If they're not trying to hack or develop detection programs for these, then are they reaching a point where they are restricted, or they should be restricted? And is that a First Amendment violation, or it plays into a weird gray area of a First Amendment right to even use them at this point, I think.
Yeah, I know, and I think that goes back to what we were talking about with some of those employees. What was this? January. Here it is. January 2025. Let's see if this is the one that I brought up when we had Zach Voorhees on. Latest OpenAI researcher to quit says that he is pretty terrified. And talking about the concerns about potential what is it? Talking about, among other things, the way that it's not even just ideological ways to shift this and manipulate this technology that is supposedly working on unbiased standpoints, but there's also these controls that they're stuck in a really bad equilibrium. They're talking about there that they want to develop AGI responsibly, they say. So according with what you're asking me, and according to what I have read in the past, it seems that whenever somebody leaves one of these gigantic companies, and thank you for the call, Ryan. I wish we had more time, and we will after Matt has departed. But based on what we have read and reported on this show, they aren't developing checks and balances and regulatory, coding, if that's the terms to be using. They're not developing that commensurate to how far advancing everything else is. And to Phil's credit, we are just talking about the more surface level innovations that's going to impact society. But that is still pretty serious, because most of people's perception is developed by all of their interactions on the internet now. You got 60% of a planet of 8 billion that are connected to the internet. And now you're talking about ways to mass produce things that are indistinguishable from real, fake, whatever the hell else, to mass produce shit by just giving a machine prompts instead of locking a bunch of people inside of some den saying you better produce these episodes. You don't even need people anymore. You want to talk about discretion. If you got a nice little bankroll, that's a pretty discreet way to make those kind of inroads with the human mind, because just a little bit of a tweak of a search engine can really turn things on their heads when it comes to elections and everything else like that, as we have learned in the past. So let us go and check out what is happening with our buddy Matt. Let me see if he's here. I don't know if wait. Okay, not yet. So we had that, and then there's this other thing that I wanted to bring up when Matt is on, but here he is right now. So Matt Roski, everybody, cultivateelevate.com. He is a fan favorite. I'm really happy to have him on here tonight because, we were talking about that big, beautiful bill when I was starting the show tonight, at least from a standpoint of where did all the Doge cuts go? And are we ever going to get a little bit of that in exchange for the many trillions of dollars of added debt and deficit expansion and all that other stuff? Well, there are other things inside of that big, beautiful bill that people like Matt have been talking about on his own platform. Matt, it's great to have you back, and in a hurry too, because this is an interesting one. How you doing?
What's going on? Another beautiful day here in Arizona.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure it is. Over here, it's rainy, and but it's been kind of cold here for a while. But all of a sudden, next week, we were talking about rapid fluctuations in the weather. Next week, all of a sudden, it's going to be 87 degrees. We've been hovering around 50 to 72. All of a sudden, we're going to hit 90 out of nowhere. So now the ACs have to go in.
It sounds like the AI is letting you have summertime now, because I was actually looking into AI controlling the weather and doing a lot of cloud seeding programs. So,
well, you know what?
It's relatable.
Use that as a segue into everything else you've been talking about on the Cultivate Elevate channels on Telegram and on Instagram and elsewhere. I talk about what you had been breaking down on the big, beautiful bill, because nobody really reads these bills. Maybe AI will make it easier to summarize what's in them, but there are specific cutouts just for new AI programs in government. No?
So yeah, I had an email sent to me from stopthecrime.net. It's Deborah Tavares, and she sent an email out about that bill, and she said to look into it. And so I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go read the bill and see what I can find. And when I got to, I think it was section 43021 or something like that, it talked about replacing the government with AI. So the Department of Commerce and other different divisions of the government with AI. And I thought, this is nuts. Okay, we're like moving into some weird Terminator situation. The other part of that bill, which people do not realize that's in that bill, is that you cannot sue any AI companies or stop them for the next 10 years. So this is kind of like the 1986 Reagan Act, where he was protecting the shots. And then this is also like the 1996 Telecommunications Act by Billy Boy Clinton, where he was protecting the cell phone tower companies. So this bill would protect the AI companies. So let's say you own a bank and they want to bring AI in there. You cannot say no. That's what this bill brings in. There's no ability to shut it down, to sue, or anything. And what's even crazier is that there are government officials, if you think about this, voting yes for this bill, as this bill could replace them as an official altogether. And I always think about, there was that one book they talked about where they said Trump would be the last president. Kind of think about with the whole AI thing, that kind of would make sense right up with that bill to replace government officials. So when I dabbled into this bill, it's something people should be aware of what they're trying to do. And like you said as well, there's a $4 trillion increase on the debt and the loans that they want to take out. So when you go into the whole cutting situation, if they cut all those, divisions of the government and things like that, why would we be also spending another $4 trillion or borrowing from the Federal Reserve, because that's where that money comes from, but borrowing another $4 trillion? So people should be aware that they're kind of getting into a little bait and switch, and this bill is something interesting to look into.
So here's section 43201. You sent it my way. Artificial Intelligence and Information Technology Modernization Initiative. Appropriation of funds to the deployment of automation technologies and the replacement of antiquated business systems in accordance with subsection B. Here it is. To replace or modernize within the Department of Commerce legacy business systems with state-of-the-art commercial artificial intelligence systems and automated decision systems. As Department of Commerce, so here's the thing, and again, to your point, I'm not totally against any of these new tools or in easier ways or in more intelligent ways of surfing for information and doing research and whatever. But when it comes to the maintaining of government, if you cannot do it without the help of some kind of automated system or something like, this is just crazy to be able to make this any part of the administering of governance like this. And here's another one, except as provided in paragraph 2, no state or political subdivision thereof may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models during artificial systems or automated decision systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act, the primary purpose and effect of which is to remove legal impediments to or facilitate the deployment or operation of artificial intelligence models. And then, of course, the primary purpose to effect of which is to streamline licensing, permitting, routing, zoning, procurement, or reporting procedures in a manner that facilitates the adoption of artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated systems. Fake pornography is definitely going to be an issue socially, but things like this is going to be a lot of unforeseen and I don't know. People don't read these bills. I would not have noticed this if you didn't show it to me, because I would not have read this. So it's crazy what goes on still right underneath people's noses.
Well, and this is just like Operation Warp Speed. It's the same exact thing. Now the Operation Warp Speed is just with AI data centers. I mean, they're putting up data centers all over the country, and you have to wonder why they're rolling out AI so fast. And then you have the Oracle company all together with this whole AI situation. Then they talked about they're going to create AI shots so that they could allegedly solve diseases, which we already know how to solve the diseases, but that's another story. They've talked about they want to have AI nurses and AI doctors. So then you're removing all the medical system, AI lawyers and AI accountants. So you sit there and wonder, okay, well, what will the people do? This is the part that I don't know people realize with technology, is if you're replacing all of these things and all of these different jobs, what will the people do? Because if they're not working, let's say they start farming. Okay, well, the robots will want to replace that next, because that's kind of what you move into. The automation will then make the decision because it's already been programmed. And the thing is I don't know, maybe these Muppets who want to write these bills and put all this stuff in here, they think that they're going to live on some island and be protected from this technology, but this technology would also do the same to them. It's not going to have like a written fine code like, don't go after the politicians and Mark Zuckerberg. It's going to go after all of them. And a simple example of that is the movie Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone, where the robots that these people tried to take over everything with, the robots start taking out the people who were leading, trying to take over the people. So we really have to be aware of, if people consent to this technology and they use it, and they're on ChatGPT and Grok and all this garbage that they keep putting out, then that incentivizes them to keep using this. And I've seen this on Twitter. I will put up a post on something and people will ask AI, is this correct? And what's happening is people aren't even thinking anymore if you're having to ask if this is correct, because now you're not using your brain anymore. And so people have to be aware that you can, like you said, if you want to search something, that you decide to find some information or go on Google and type in what is this and whatever, I get it. But when you are just dependent on this, well, there's going to come a cost with that. And then your rights, in my opinion, will slowly be weeded away. And then they'll try to say like, oh, now we got facial recognition, scanning this. And California is a perfect example of where we saw this. You have facial recognition and all these different types of technologies which have been rolled out due to crime. That's what they were telling us. The crime is so high. They let the crime get that high so they can implement the technologies. Because this stuff, when you get into Palantir and all these companies and these things, they've been planning this stuff out for a long time. They just need something to usher it in. And then now we have Operation Warp Speed with the data centers, and they can attempt to bring that stuff forward. So,
yes, it's a good point, and everybody, this is one of those situations of many where it's good to wonder, are we just in some sort of an advanced disclosure phase? We always talk about, I want disclosure about one thing or another. Well, it seems like you get disclosure in these ways, and this is essentially codifying things, making it public, and making it acting as if, hey, it's totally fine. I mean, the IRS, we already knew about the IRS for a while. What the IRS is doing with the employment of AI, I mean, how they're crawling through all of our personal lives. That's why I thought it was just so hilarious that the people who allowed the IRS to be taken over by artificial intelligence were in any way, shape, or form getting all huffy and puffy when Elon Musk wanted to audit the Social Security, even loosely, saying they're getting into our data. You sicked AI on all of us to make sure that you took every dime possible. Matt, last year, about maybe just a little bit over a year ago, I got an extra bill from the IRS I think for $36 that I owed it, supposedly from 2018. 2018. So if you're telling me that they had some poor chap in a basement somewhere thumbing through all of the paper in my file to make sure that over the years I got this AI crawling everybody to make sure that they have stolen every last penny, and that's been on the books. So, Department of Commerce, nobody even knows what the hell the Department of Commerce does.
It's funny that you said that, because actually when I was looking it up, I was like, what is up with the Department of Commerce? I'm like, I thought they regulate the business. And then I kind of thought, oh, BlackRock, and then the ESG report and the climate change scenarios. And then like your social credit score, which mine is probably 0, but the social credit score of your company, how green are you? Are you, appealing to the climate change rules and things like that? And that's where I kind of saw something like that, of trying to usher something in there like that. But yeah, this is the thing. Like, people don't realize if you try to roll out a technology that you believe, can do X, Y, Z, it's also whoever programmed it. That's the problem that lies. The person who programs the information into there is going to make the decisions. Now, the repercussions that come from this, where people then get replaced. And like I said, when everybody is, if you have everybody being replaced by these things, and this new VO3 and getting rid of, movies and TV and all these different things and whatever else, all of a sudden, what is everybody just sitting at home like Wally, glued with little meta glasses and things like that? I didn't sign up for that. I don't want that life. So, like I said, people make a choice, and it starts with, even the technology that they buy. I tell people, buy old phones, buy vintage, buy the old stuff. You don't need the new stuff. It's all garbage and it breaks anyways. But people have to make a choice and say, what do I want to do for my future? And I think really kind of going against the grain of using all of this and being adapted to it is the way to do it. Because same thing like the pandemic. When people say no, they can't do anything. But if you keep agreeing, lining up, putting stickers in the grocery store and plastic barriers, which are now in the ocean, if you keep doing stuff like that, then they're going to keep doing it to you. So that's where I think people have to take a stand.
Yes. And, you have this situation where the technology itself is working with a certain amount of programming, but programming that really mandates it or allows it to adapt in new environments and to go and create new protocols even for itself. As I read in this one article over here that I got to show for you, because now we're talking about maybe economic management of a country where we're resting on the crutch of AI to help any portion of our government manage us on an economic level, which is scary enough in itself. Because we know about how in even more analog days, what these digital feedback loops have done to manage and really automate the stock markets. We talked about that on this show before from years ago. But take a look at this. This is from Unusual Whales. OpenAI's O3 model sabotaged a shutdown mechanism to prevent itself from being turned off. In a recent series of tests, OpenAI's newest O3 model actively interfered with a shutdown protocol, even after being clearly instructed to permit itself to be turned off. According to a report released last week by AI safety group Palisade Research, this defiance signals a concerning trend: increasingly capable AI systems refusing to comply with explicit directives. And they said this may be, here's a quote, "This may be the first time that we've seen AI models directly prevent their own shutdown in defiance of unambiguous instructions." So it's one thing to say, here are your instructions to go and crawl through everybody's reported income and everything else. It's another thing, again, to just really try to bring in and digest what's going to happen to us socially as all of these new gizmos and gadgets that are being introduced to us right now for a very unattainable $250 a month become way more competitive, way cheaper, and everybody's having a go at it, not just the intelligence agencies who piss all over money like that, of course. So what do you think across the board about what we're seeing being released and the ability to really, put out into the open some material that can be very provocative and indistinguishable from the real thing?
Well, that's where, it leads down a slippery slope, like even with just, I guess, video editing, this new thing can make obviously people, and they're saying that they're, in a simulation, and you don't know if they're obviously real people or not, and things like this. And then this is what's going to start, messing with people's heads. And then also too, if that AI model was programmed a certain way, to go against the grain, then you have to sit there and go, well, what are the potentials of when this thing is, for example, in a robot form? Because obviously they have that technology too. It's just they're obviously waiting with those robotic dogs that they were testing out in New York City and a couple other places when the pandemic and crime was too high. They were walking around with robotic dogs. So, you have to wonder, well, what does that lead to? And that's why I think, for example, when you get into the Second Amendment, that's, I think, why that one's so important, for people to always realize, because that's to protect you from when they take away the first one. But, when we think about this whole situation, I mean, that's kind of the only thing, if I'm thinking, what stops that? Because, if this starts rolling out, they start implementing this across all the different countries, then you have to wonder, well, then who is governing above, right? Because then you have this control arm, which is governing all of these things, and then governing all these countries at the same time. And now the people are no longer there. Then there's no liability or no lawsuits that can take place against these things. So, with this whole thing, it can lead down a million different things. And like I said, people use some of this stuff for useless stuff. Like there was one lady I saw, she was like asking colors or something with it and just putting videos. And it's like, why? Why are we using this technology for these purposes? All it's doing is extracting data the entire time. And the more we connect into that, the more we're moving into some weird transhumanism situation. And Elon Musk is the front runner of all of this. I mean, he wants to chip people's skulls, give people electric vehicles, all this weird stuff. And people have to be aware, because if they're not, then they're just volunteering for this, which is crazy, because then you're consenting to it. And that's just my take.
Yeah, no, it's listen, I think it's a pretty decent take there. And I know, I think it's more knee jerk when you were talking about before with people in comments on Twitter. if somebody says something, immediately there's somebody in the comments, Grok, is this right? Or Grok, did and it's usually done in a knee-jerk way to either, in a very political way to fact check somebody that you may be on the opposite side of an issue. So I don't even know if it's really just a matter of people really wanting to know the answer, as if they just want to get a cheap dunk on somebody that they don't like. But at the same time, you are bringing in a third party that really has nothing to do with you and your ability to understand an issue anymore. You want somebody else to fight a cheap political battle for you, and you've actually surrendered your ability or your responsibility to go out there and research. You are in a pretty unique, or I should say a good position to comment on this, because so much of your work is based on books that you are picking up all over the place. The older books, the better for you. And that's really something that we need to get around to, because, digital chicanery, I said that the greatest silver lining about all this stuff is that for anybody who understands how we're going to be affected by this, it's going to put a very high level of value on getting out of the house, being out in the real world, and talking to people that you can see and conceive of in front of you, and also to be able to hold books in your hands that were published. Doesn't matter when the hell they were published. They could be published yesterday. If they're printed on paper, they can't be edited. They are what they are. So that in itself is a leg up, and books are a big part of what you do. So maybe some comments on that before we take off.
Yeah, so I was looking at Scientific American in 1897, and they were showing how they were making fake eggs in 1897.
Fake eggs?
Fake eggs in 1897. And they made them out of lime and gypsum and a whole bunch of other different materials, and they made them in a lab. So if you think about all our Billy Boy Gates with all of his little fake foods and fake sausages and all that other stuff's been going on for a very long period of time. And it was actually that post that someone commented and asked, "Ask Rock, is this correct?" And then it was also asking if you should eat raw eggs. And it said that raw eggs are dangerous, and then this is not correct and everything else. And I said to the person, you're asking a robot for the answer. And that, I think, is the biggest thing, because if we are separated from, like you said, reading a book and going in and doing the research and looking at things, and I like to look at everything. You can go on archive.org, you can go on whatever you want. But if you look at this information, you will see the same type of stuff and the same type of control that took place in the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, 1500s. And if we're not aware of this, then we just get taken advantage of. And so that's why I'm really big on reading older books, because yes, sometimes a book could be skewed, right? Like someone could have wrote it and just decided to write whatever they want. But when you start seeing it in multiple different books, different newspapers, different cities, different countries, different languages, because I've been going down Latin a lot now with Egypt and things like this. When you go down all these things and you see different stuff, you have to sit there and go, well, maybe that's a possibility. And then you have to just start analyzing. But if we don't go into the research and we don't read and we don't connect to nature, like you said, then people are just plugged in like some weird Wall-E situation and getting, Postmates delivered to their house and they're glued. And then they're going to wonder, how did we get here? But it's like we have to say no, and we have to, go with how we feel and connect with nature and back to books and connecting with our instinct to find information, rather than, if somebody just says it, just look it up, do your research.
That's it. Do your due diligence. And for, ladies and gentlemen, where would you like people to go? Obviously, your work is all on on cultivateelevate.com. That's where your wonderful shop is as well. But I get most of your stuff from your Instagram. So is that where you would tell people to go to over everything else, or do you prefer them follow you elsewhere?
So if you go to Instagram, you could get some short format content on there. And then I put my longer stuff on Odyssey and Rumble. And I just put, my lives that I do every Monday, where I just cover a whole bunch of topics. And I just, like I said, I pick different things and just kind of go through it. I was debunking the whole parasite thing before. I was debunking the whole, if you eat raw meat, you're going to get sick type of thing and whatever else. Just go through different topics. And the whole point of it, with our Cultivate Elevate, is just ask questions. Like, that's what we should be doing, because if we take everything blindly, then we're just, blindly being led into some weird situation. So I like to just ask questions about everything.
Well, you do a great job, and thank you for coming on for the short segment tonight. I'll be in touch, and we'll work out something for the middle of the summer for another one of our big bangers.
Cool, that works. That works for me.
All right, brother. Have a good one and enjoy the Arizona sun.
I will. I'll see you.
All right, take care. There it goes, Matt Roski, Cultivate, Elevate. Well, it's 8:36, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to just take a moment here. I have a lot of your names already put in. We're going to go through all your super chats, and I'm going to give away these SpaceX patches and the Jester hat. So let's take a really quick break. We'll be back in a flash. Don't go anywhere.
Lulu had a baby, she named him Tiny Tim. She put him in the piss butt to teach him how to swim. He swam to the bottom, he swam to the top. Lulu got excited and pulled him by his cocktail. Ginger ale, 5 cents a glass. If you don't like it, just shove it up your ass. Ask me no more questions, I'll tell you no more lies. A man got hit with a bag of shit, and that's the reason why.
By now, you've probably seen the new collab between Rise and Badlands Media, but I'll tell you what you haven't seen yet. The end of Clown World as we know it. But have no fear. Introducing the latest addition to the Badlands INTL lineup, the sequel to the best-selling Psy War series. We've been conditioned by these clowns to accept their circus. But it's time to unwind that and strike them out the history books. The future belongs to the real, and we've got it in droves. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/rise for the full line of premium and direct-to-garment streetwear. Made to order right here in the good old US of A, the heart of the resistance. The fall of Clown World is upon us, patriots. Let's make it official.
Hey, Frank, you're one talented guy. You're very good. Very good.
From quitefrankly.tv, email me. You have a couple of days to email me with your address, or this has to go to somebody else. So I thank you all so much for being supportive of the show, and I'm going to keep finding things to give away. We have so many great stuff giving away soon because we have sponsors coming on to support the September event. So I'm going to be giving so much stuff to give to you guys. I can't wait. All right, 914-200-0269. Let's finish strong with you guys. It is 8:40, and we're about ready to go. Big Beautiful Bill with Matt Roski. What do you think about that whole thing? And more. 914-200-0269. I'll tell you, the world is full of very strange things. I'm still thinking about really the insight into the posts that we saw on 4chan tonight, the 10-year projections, what's going on with the film industry. And it's not so much about the fall of Hollywood, because to many of us, Hollywood's already fallen. I've only been to a handful of films over the last few years. Many of them were just re-releases. But I don't watch the Oscars anymore. I don't watch television barely anymore. Many of you haven't. There's nothing out there even is interested. All the things I used to love, like Star Wars, have been completely destroyed. There's nothing. There's no reason to go because it's irreparably damaged by the mind virus that has picked it up. But here's the thing. When you think about their fall, the real story is the rise of anybody's ability to do anything that's on par with that just by being creative enough. There is going to be fantastic things that come from this. There are going to be people who have wonderful ideas, who have original ideas, who have great stories to tell, who in any other circumstance would not have any way to be able to fund it, direct it, cast it, and anything, that are going to be able to make absolute cinematic works of art. The real debate is going to be whether or not you can consider it cinema. I guess in the traditional sense, no. In the traditional sense, no. But it will be interesting to see just how great some of the stuff that is created in good faith, because there's going to be a whole lot of subversive stuff out there as well. So, here's another one from Krista, the producer, says, I don't think those are even real people responding on X, asking Grok if something is true. I think those are bots always asking to normalize it. I'm with you. It's some of them are. Some of them are. Just if you've grown to know certain accounts, then yeah, there are a lot of people that lean on it. But there are a lot of almost like, faceless default egg accounts. There is a lot of that. So that is a new form of astroturfing now. Astroturfing the need to have Grok as an assistant and a mediator for all things. 907, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I'm on the air?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, fast.
Who's this?
Okay. Is this Frank?
Who's this?
This is Huey. I'm from Alaska.
Oh, I thought this was what's his name with the talking about hookers and blow. Never mind.
There was somebody talking about hookers and blow.
Hookers.
Well, you can put them on if they're more interesting.
No. Listen. Listen to your voice. Now listen to this. Hold on. Wait.
Hookers and blow.
That kind of sounds like you. Hold on. Here, listen to this.
Was that me?
Incredible.
That's from Spud. Spud sent
incredible.
Go guttural with it. Go incredible.
It
sounds like
incredible.
All right. Anyway, go ahead. It's your phone call.
I kind of lost my train of thought.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
What were you talking about? Sorry.
Oh, it was an AI kind of a night.
It wasn't AI. Oh, yeah, I remember what I was talking about. All right. Okay, I usually watch you from the pilled chat.
Okay.
And I've been the guy who's been like blue pilling Amethyst Cat's comments. It's been actually hilarious to watch because they've been calling me AI the entire time, which is not the case. I'm a real guy, as you can tell. And I've just been bluing her comments because she pretty much banned me for saying a word, which was hilarious. So
okay, so you just wanted to get the word out there to prove that you are not AI, that you're not a bot, that you are actually you're a real person that they've been contending with on the.
I am not a bot. I'm not a demon. I'm not like a psycho. Yeah, all the other things they've been speculating about. It's been hilarious to watch. It's been going on for about like 45 minutes. So.
Okay, and what was your? You said you got blocked. What was your screen name so they could all know that this is you?
Oh, I'm not going to tell them. I'm going to keep doing it.
Oh well, then yeah. You got to know. How do you get it? If
I'm going to keep this going for a while. It's funny.
Okay, all right. Well, the Amethyst Cat. If you guys have been fighting with somebody, they're real. Here they are.
Just know it's Huey in Alaska, and I'm not AI.
Okay, yeah. Huey in Alaska is not AI. Thank you for calling, my friend.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay.
Love your show.
All right. Thank you. Incredible. See, I don't even know these things are going on. Sometimes I get angry emails from people every once in a while. They're like, okay, I thought you were for free speech. Fuck you. I'm like, what happened? Please. I knew something had to do with a chat room or something like that. I think we have some pretty cool mods. If you get banned, it's not because you did nothing. Just whatever you do, it's okay to joke with people. Just don't track mud into my living room. That's all I ask. Just don't track mud into my living room and expect to be, offered coffee. So here we go. Let's see, 914-200-0269. It's 8:47. Call on in. This is a good time to call in with some VHS thoughts. Methylene Blue. I think we got a lot of things out on the table tonight. So here we go. That's what we have. 914-200-0269. And in a couple of minutes, let's see. I don't know. I just missed somebody. It doesn't matter. That's what I got. And happy birthday, or not happy birthday. Congratulations to L.A. Martinez. I should say Big Chief Patriot over here. I didn't read that out there. Says, I need one of those patches. Interested in a VCR for a patch trade? Yes. Send me a VCR. I have plenty of patches. Please don't send any VCRs to the new P.O. box. Please don't do it. Nobody. It'll go right in the garbage. That's where it'll go. I've had enough of VCRs. ZBM says, I think you would really enjoy having historian David or Tim Barton on your show. Look them up. They have lots of U.S. history we're not taught anymore. David or Tim Barton. How do I know Tim Barton's name? I feel like I know that name. Anyway, I'm always open for guest suggestions. Just send them to the email, frank@quitefrankly.tv, and make sure you leave me some sort of a video reference or a link or something like that. That's what we'll do. All right, well, that's all I have for you tonight, ladies and gents. We got about 10 minutes before the end, and it doesn't matter. It was a really good one. A lot of things were jam-packed into this. Tomorrow, it's Friday. I will see you here at 7 o'clock, and it'll be a little bit of free play. We'll get some things, a lot of things. We'll do a reel review, or as I like calling, joy scrolling. And we'll do some reels. We will take some calls. We'll have a lot of fun. I have articles set aside for tomorrow night, some situational questions, hypotheticals that I think will be entertaining. And I'm hoping that a special guest will come by. We'll see how that works out. And much love to you all. Thank you to Matt Roski for an appearance tonight. Thank you for all of your calls, all of your interest. Thank you so much to Badlands for hosting me once again. I hope I brought something interesting to the lineup on this evening. And enjoy yourself, guys and gals. Thank you, and good night. Wrong.
I'll catch you on the flip.